Have you seen this incredible yet underrated movie where at the height of the Cold War, a Soviet spacecraft crash lands after a mission gone wrong, leaving the commander as its only survivor? After a renowned Russian psychologist is brought in to evaluate the commander's mental state, it becomes clear that something dangerous have come back to Earth with him. The year is 1983, and the spacecraft Orbita 4 orbits Earth carrying two cosmonauts. One sings and jokes with the other, Kostya, threatening to report him to mission control for not joining in. They converse about their plans after returning home, while mission control checks their status. Kostya opens the latch hooks, and they undock. The singing resumes as they position for landing, but an impact strikes the ship. They regain control, but the singing cosmonaut observes something moving outside the ship towards a hatch. Later, a parachute descends over Soviet Kazakhstan. A man on horseback approaches the landed capsule. He illuminates the scene with a flashlight, discovering one cosmonaut dead beside the ship. The other crawls out, struggling to stand as the man approaches. When the cosmonaut lifts his head, blood streams from his mouth and his eyes are entirely black. A woman enters a conference room at the Research Institute for Brain AMS in Moscow. The room is being set up for a hearing. Board members enter, and the proceeding commences. Tatiana is under investigation for potentially injuring a patient. Her board colleagues acknowledge her methods, but suggest possible negligence. She disagrees, arguing she treated a misdiagnosed patient correctly. A man observes the hearing and later approaches Tatiana in the lobby. He introduces himself as Colonel Semiradov and requests her consulting expertise on a patient, mentioning he oversees a research institute. She is hesitant but becomes intrigued when he reveals his involvement in neuropsychiatry. Semiradov states he will transport her to see the patient, promising to return her if she declines the case. En route in a helicopter, they discuss the patient. She asks for medical files, but he provides an oral report instead. He discloses the patient is a cosmonaut from Orbita 4 and explains media omissions. She inquires about a non-disclosure agreement, considering the cosmonaut is a Soviet hero who might be mentally compromised. They arrive in Kazakhstan and drive to a scientific research institute. Semiradov informs her she can move freely in 90% of the facility and will gain restricted area access after clearance. They enter an elevator leading to an observation room. Inside, Kostya is undergoing hypnosis by psychiatrist Dr. Rigel. Tatiana watches from behind glass. The psychiatrist attempts to extract information, but Kostya jokes. The doctor becomes angry, stating he cannot help without cooperation. Kostya coughs, unnerving the doctor. Kostya declares he cannot be hypnotized, as only the mentally strongest are chosen for space. Kostya bangs on the window, demanding to know what happened to his colleague. Tatiana asks Semiradov what he needs. He wants her opinion on Kostya's condition. She enters Kostya's room and introduces herself. Kostya welcomes the change from Rigel. She offers tea, which he accepts and drinks. Tatiana observes his movements, states her purpose, and asks about a toy in the corner. He replies it's his, relating to cosmonaut traditions. She inquires about the mission, but he is reluctant, since she hasn't read the files. He recounts the mission proceeded flawlessly until landing, after which he remembers nothing except waking at the institute. Realizing she can't free him, he gives her his mother's name and number, asking her to inform her he's alive. She takes the teacup. Before leaving, she says it was a pleasure. When she hands the cup to Rigel, it burns his hands. She explains to the colonel that Kostya has PTSD and possible damage to his sensory receptors or peripheral nervous system. After her evaluation, she requests to leave. Semiradov states she can depart in the morning. The soldier escorting her to her room says the colonel must authorize her departure. While walking, they see prisoners working under guard. To her question, the soldier replies they are prisoners performing hard labor. He takes her to her room, noting she's alone in the building. Tatiana unpacks, attempts an outside call, and is told only Semiradov can make them. That night, Bathing reveals a large scar on her back. She takes pain pills and tries to sleep, but fails. She goes for a run, encountering a prisoner. Returning to her room, Semiradov knocks. He takes her back to the observation room and asks when she last stayed. After her reply, he checks his watch and orders the procedure to start. A glass partition descends in Kostia's chamber, and soldiers secure the door. Tatiana and the others watch security feeds as Kostia's body contorts. He falls from the bed, and a blob emerges from his mouth, transforming into an alien creature. Tatiana is stunned. Semiradov asks if she wants a closer look. She approaches the glass and waits. The creature appears. They observe each other. Tatiana reaches out, but it leaps at the window. She exits the room, shocked and terrified. Semiradov follows, revealing the creature is extraterrestrial. Tatiana asks if Kostia knows it lives inside him. He seems unaware. The colonel demands she find a way to separate host and parasite, or leave and sign the NDA. She questions why he chose her. He answers it's her willingness to take risks, which could save their hero. Tatiana requests the creature's videotapes, Kostia's testimony, and all notes. She stipulates 2 daily 1-hour sessions with Kostia. The colonel agrees to her stay. Tatiana reviews documents, learning Kostia was initially in rehab, but the creature emerged the first night, killing a medic. They moved him to the facility, attempting separation unsuccessfully. Without the creature, Kostia's vitals drop. With it, he has regenerative abilities. During incubation, the creature occupies minimal space inside him. Outside, it reaches 1.5 meters. Exiting releases a toxin, knocking Kostia out. It can stay out for 40 to 50 minutes nightly. Tatiana questions if it's a parasite or symbiote. Kostia exercises in a gym under medical supervision, told not to exert himself. He states he feels well, just a slight throat tickle. Later, Tatiana reviews creature footage, taking notes. Rigel enters. She asks about Kostia's son's whereabouts, receiving no clear answer. She asks what the creature feeds on. He says the same as Kostia. She tries to build rapport, but Rigel dismisses her, telling her to speak to the colonel. She calls the orphanage housing Kostia's son from Semiradov's office. A paralyzed child rises to retrieve something, but a nurse stops and scolds it. The next day, Tatiana begins her session with Kostia. She tells him the institute believes he is insane and killed his co-pilot. Rigel and the colonel listen. The doctor is displeased, the colonel confused. Kostia is bewildered, they think that, and questions if it's why he's behind armored glass. She asks who he really is. He answers, a hero. Tatiana antagonizes him over spaceflight heroism, then abruptly asks about his son, saying he abandoned him. Offended, he ends the session. Behind the glass, she tells them to test his endocrine system to understand what feeds the creature. Next, she asks the colonel to move Kostia to the civilian area during the day for a realistic clinical picture. Semiradov complies, giving Kostia a normal room. Tatiana visits, apologizing and explaining her tactics. He reveals he only learned about the boy from his deceased mother a week before the mission. Before she leaves, he asks why he's truly imprisoned. Tatiana cannot answer. That night, Tatiana observes the creature. She taps the window, then crouches. When it appears, she lies down and it mimics her. Standing, she disturbs Kostia's toy and notes the creature's interest. She asks to enter the room. The colonel permits it. She wears a protective suit. Inside, she places the toy near the creature. It immediately coils around it. Tatiana attempts to touch it, but slips. The creature grabs and drags her. The general flashes lights, and she is extracted. The colonel then confronts the creature. That night, Semiradov enters Tatiana's room uninvited. She explains her findings from the toy incident. The creature and Kostia share consciousness, evidenced by its reaction to his significant toy. She also notes the creature spends longer outside nightly and will eventually not need him. Tatiana asks to take them to Moscow. The colonel refuses due to the unknown risks. Later, she questions Rigel about an anomaly in a videotape. He calls it a glitch, but she confronts him about Kostia's differing day/night hormone levels. She suspects they feed the creature something undisclosed. Rigel tells her to leave. She accuses him of wanting a Nobel Prize and offers to help him get it without credit. She demands the missing information without the Colonel's knowledge. Rigel hides her in his car and sneaks her into the restricted area. Meanwhile, sedated Kostia is wheeled back to observation. Rigel parks inside. He gives Tatiana night vision goggles with a 10-minute battery. He exits. Soldiers are seen placing a prisoner into a large cage. The creature is guided towards the cage. Tatiana watches from the car as it attacks the prisoner, decapitating him. She makes a sound. A soldier investigates the car. Rigel distracts him. She remains undiscovered. Later, he drives her back and gives her water and information. The creature feeds on cortisol, the fear hormone, but feeding humans was the Colonel's idea. She exits, calling him a coward. The next day, Tatiana asks Kostia to run with her. Running, she reveals the creature and states they need government help to separate. He runs back, telling her to check for surveillance and meet him in his block at 1 a.m. That night, he vomits his pills, crushes them into his tea, then lures his guard nurse into his room to watch a movie. She falls asleep. Kostia dismantles the TV for a magnet. He meets Tatiana. He places the magnet on a camera, causing an error. A guard checks, but finds nothing, allowing them to pass. They go to the freezer room. Kostia sees bodies and his own scans. She asks if he feels the creature. He states he is the creature and remembers everything it saw. Kostia says Semiradov would never release him if he knew. His co-pilot is also there alive. He begs Tatiana for help enduring 2 more weeks until a Moscow review board frees him. She asks how he can tolerate the creature killing for 2 weeks. He asks what she would do, kill herself? Meanwhile, at the orphanage, the child retrieves a package. The nurse catches and scolds it, calling it an invalid. Back at the institute, soldiers corner Tatiana and take her to the Colonel. They argue about the morality of feeding the creature. He believes it's necessary for peace. Tatiana rejects human sacrifice. The Colonel describes the prisoner's crimes. He suggests they observe a feeding. At the site, 2 prisoners are caged. The creature enters. It approaches. Tatiana pleads to stop, promising another feeding method. She asks to enter the cage. She sings Kostia's song, calming the creature. Rigel and the Colonel watch. Rigel exclaims the creature has adapted and can now hear. As Tatiana sings, Kostia reacts in his room, regaining consciousness. A prisoner loosens restraints. The creature hears, attacks, and kills him. Post-feeding, the Colonel asks if Kostia can control the creature. Tatiana says not yet. Semiradov believes with her help, they can learn control and asks her to set aside differences. The next day, Tatiana works near the co-pilot. Rigel enters. She speaks Latin, urging him to help her and Kostia escape. He resists. She tells him to be brave. Later, Rigel brings her sedatives, asking for secrecy. She sedates a guard. She asks Rigel for more help. He accompanies her to get Kostia. Entering his room, she finds him on the floor. She tells him the Colonel will do anything to keep the creature and proposes injecting a drug cocktail, mimicking a disease, to expel it. Kostia refuses, fearing the adapted creature will survive outside him and believing it saved him as punishment for abandoning his son. She tells him his son's name and age. He changes his mind and leaves with her. Rigel states a car is outside and gives her keys. Tatiana asks him to come. He stays. They flee. Rigel calls authorities to report the institute. Simultaneously, another soldier finds the sedated guard. Checking footage, they see Tatiana and Kostia escaping. The Colonel orders a response team to retrieve Kostia alive and terminate Tatiana. The team intercepts them. In the office, Rigel is on the phone as someone enters. He hangs up as the Colonel arrives. The Colonel kills him. Hiding from soldiers, Kostia asks Tatiana for the syringe. She throws it. He injects it into his heart. The creature emerges, confronts the soldiers, and kills them despite being shot. Tatiana drags Kostia to a car, escaping. The Colonel confronts the creature. He uses smoke and shoots, Both are injured. Simultaneously, Kostya coughs blood in the car. Tatiana realizes he won't survive without the creature. He urges escape, but she pulls him out. The colonel arrives, asking if she reconsidered. She states they are now fully symbiotic and inseparable as soldiers retrieve the creature from the trunk. The colonel disarms her. Soldiers open the creature's enclosure. The colonel incapacitates her, but Kostya controls the creature, killing the soldiers and then the colonel. Tatiana checks Kostya as the creature crawls to them. It spares her and re-enters Kostya's body. She tells him she can separate them in Moscow. Suddenly, Kostya kills himself as the authorities' Rigel summon arrive. Tatiana travels to Rostov, where Kostya's son's orphanage is. In a flashback, the child retrieves the package. The nurse finally acknowledges its persistence and gives it the package. It opens it to find sneakers. Tatiana enters the orphanage, telling the receptionist she is there to adopt Kostya's son. The child puts on the sneakers and rises from its wheelchair. The nurse says everything will be all right. The child turns, stating its name is Tanya. In the present, Tatiana waits outside. The boy emerges. She greets him. They embrace. If you enjoyed this recap, help us by hitting that like button and subscribe to StorySpark for more thrilling recaps. Until next time.